This is a good paper to follow up with to the next to the this is a nice paper to follow the previous podcast, which was on how models may be underestimating the synchronized crop yield losses because of the weather patterns and how they are not being properly captured by the IPCC class models. Hence, they may be underestimating the future projections of crop losses. Obviously, a serious issue for food security. Another serious food security issue is already playing out among the many, of course. Extremes, droughts, wildfires, temperatures, ozone, everything is affecting crop yields. But warmer temperatures primarily drive explosion of microbes, not all of them good, of course. And in a country like India, warm temperatures in March, April, May can explode the microbe population, and then rains come and spread it around. So India can be like a petri dish for human health and of course also crop diseases if we are not careful. So this little commentary in Nature that just appeared recently is about the growing urgency of fungal disease in crops. So clouds of dust caused by a fungus engulf a crop field. So obviously farmers are always trying to deal with these, and they are sold these fungicides and they keep spraying them. There are of course issues. People worry about them getting transferred into food grains they buy, and the products, groundwater contamination and aerosolization and spreading through the air as well. But more importantly, there is not one fungicide for all fungal diseases, and probably it's a good time to consider like a vaccine, maybe a way to go forward with one fungicide rather than so many different ones. Let's read a few words from the paper. Again, I'm going to be very brief. Adaptive Potential Unleashed. In a 2019 list of 137 pests and pathogens ranked according to the impact, fungi dominate the first to sixth places for diseases affecting each of the world's 5 most important calorie crops. So 6 is there is a reference, sorry. Wheat, for example, is grown over more land area than any other crop, with production yielding around 18% of all the calories consumed globally each year. In Asia, rice is big, but globally wheat is bigger. Despite mitigation practices, current crop losses worldwide from infections by the Septoria tritici or blotch, I don't know if it is tritici or tritici, whatever, you can look it up. Blotch disease causing fungus Zymoseptoria tritici. The main wheat pathogen in temperature areas range from 5 to 50%. So there are many mitigation practices like fungicide, but current crop losses are still as high as 5 to 50%. Losses caused by the wheat stem rust fungus Puccinia graminis, which frequents more tropical climates, range from 10 to 70% of the harvest. Commodity crops such as bananas and coffee, which in many countries generate revenue that is used to purchase calorie crops, are also vulnerable to fungal diseases. So you can see how the cascades can happen. If tropics are getting the wheat stem disease, then as temperatures increase and the tropics expand, these diseases are going to expand north poleward, of course, and people may not be directly growing commodity crops, but they will have other things, cash crops like banana and coffee, which they can grow in their climates, but they sell it and they have to buy crops with them, so their food security is affected by the crop losses from fungal disease as well. A perfect storm. Current problems have arisen because the adaptability of fungi has met modern agricultural practices. None of the microbes or pathogens really evolved to necessarily harm other species, but when they rely on using the other species to spread, like many of the viruses and bacteria use our body or cells to multiply, and that's how they spread or survive and procreate. but our body thinks it's a foreign entity that must be gotten rid of, so the body starts fighting itself. Even simple things like allergy or cytokines and so on begin to create problems, not because the pathogen is out to kill you, but because your body thinks it's a foreign entity. So the species, they adapt themselves to survive like fungi, and when we create habitats like warming and humidity and reduced frost days and so on, they can explore much more efficiently. Most monocultures entail vast areas of genetically uniform crops. The world's largest monoculture is a field of more than 14,000 hectares of genetically uniform wheat in Canada. So you can see that if the fungus attacks in one corner, it can spread very quickly to these 14,000 hectares. These provide ideal feeding and breeding grounds for such a prolific and fast evolving group of organisms. Added to this, the increasingly widespread use of antifungal treatments that target a single fungal cellular process, for example, compounds called azoles target an enzyme needed for the formation of fungal cell membranes. Okay, so we're attacking specific biological functions, but these antifungal treatments have led to the emergence of fungicide resistance. This is similar to many human diseases as well, like superbugs and TB resistance to drugs and so on and so forth. A couple of more points. Early promise. Better protecting the world's crops from fungal disease will require a much more unified approach than has been achieved so far, with closer collaboration between farmers, agricultural industry, plant breeders, plant disease biologists, governments and policymakers, even philanthropic funders. It's no longer enough to focus on crop husbandry, such as clearing or burning of the diseased plant tissues. Conventional methods of breeding plants for single disease resistance genes or the spraying of predominantly single target site fungicides are no longer enough. Growers and other stakeholders must exploit various technical innovations to more effectively monitor, manage and mitigate plant disease. Several approaches are already being developed or used to limit disease impacts and protect crop yields. In combination, these approaches could help farmers to sustain their yields in the coming decades. RNA trafficking between plants and fungi. In 2013, a research team showed that small RNAs or sRNAs from the gray mold fungus Botrytis cinerea, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it right, I'm not a biologist, it can silence plant host genes involved in immunity. So its strategy to invade the host and manipulate the cells and cell responses. Some of the researchers then showed that double-stranded RNAs or dsRNAs and sRNAs from the fungus could protect vegetables and fruit against gray mold disease for up to 10 days. However, RNAs usually encapsulated in tiny vesicles are not only transferred from fungus to the host, plant hosts also dispatch vesicles to suppress fungal virulence genes. So this genetic transfer and the way fungi can manipulate their host to survive and procreate and spread actually are very smart evolutionary traits. They are ever harder to control. The use of antifungal is becoming increasingly widespread in agriculture. This is leading to more fungicide-resistant pathogens. As we said, to look at some data, concentration of EC50 epoxiconazole in parts per million from 2006 to 2018. You can see this super exponential increase here. And here you see corn smut, a disease caused by fungus Ustilago maedis, affects maize, so corn crops. Okay, an example. Here is a quarantined banana farm near Cairns in Queensland, Australia, to protect it. So Australia, for example, is incredibly stringent about what you can bring into the country, especially fresh fruits and vegetables, because it's an island, and like Hawaii, doesn't want external pathogens coming in and taking hold in their environment, because then they become endemic and then they have a big problem on their hands. So please respect farm biosecurity. For access, please phone. So basically the plantation is quarantined to protect the bananas from a disease. Excuse me for that. Okay. A global body for plant health. This is what is recommended by the authors. Between January 2020 and January 2023, the UK Research and Innovation Council allocated around $686 million to COVID-19 research, and almost 225,000 papers on COVID-19 were published globally. We conducted a search on Scopus and Web of Science database using COVID and SARS-CoV-2 as keywords for grabbing these numbers. During the same period, the UKRI spent around 30 million on fungal crop research, and globally, around 4,000 papers on crops and fungal diseases were published. So again, from the same sources. Given that food security engenders health and well-being, agriculture and farmers are arguably just as crucial to human health as medicine and healthcare providers. Emphasizing again, agriculture and farmers are arguably just as crucial to human health as medicine and healthcare providers. So obviously we need to provide all the help we can to farmers so that they can sustain food production, sustain their livelihoods, and provide this service to humanity at large. International Plant Protection Convention, IPPC, is a body supported by the FAO that aims to protect the world's plant resources from pathogens. It's much less well known than other bodies that deal with threats to human well-being, such as the World Health Organization. The 180 member states that are signatories of the IPCC treaty must work together to change this lack of recognition or awareness about IPPC. Because viruses and bacteria dominate as agents of human disease, these microbes have received much more attention than have fungi, which affect crops. Yet in crops, fungi are by far the most important agents of disease. The WHO's list of fungal pathogens that infect humans is a step towards bringing more attention to this extraordinary but understudied group of microbes. But addressing the greatest threats to food security and so to human health must include tending to the devastating impacts fungi are already having and will keep having on the world's food security. So nutrition security, food security, and general cascades into productivity, morbidity, mortality can hardly be underestimated or overemphasized. So this is a good paper as a follow-up to the previous paper, which was much more focused on globally synchronized weather patterns that affect crop diseases and create synchronized crop losses. Okay, and with the global movement of grains and people, the spread of pathogens and fungi is also facilitated. So these are not just local fungal concerns, but they can get global very quickly as well. Warming temperatures and humidity, reduced frost days, as I said before, are always drivers, along with monoculture as a predominant agricultural practice. So let me leave this here.